There are 7 steps that will vary in the time needed to complete them according to you and your dog. It's important for you to proceed at the dog's pace, not yours. The more clicker savvy your dog and the more experience it has with experimenting and shaping, and the more accurate you are with your marker and reward, generally the faster this will go. Zeke started this when he was just under 8 months old, and within a couple of short sessions across a couple of days I was getting consistent recrosses that I'm now able to continue refining. Even if your dog's been doing agility for donkeys and knows full well to run between jump uprights, don't skip this step. It's a good way to warm up for the session as well as refresh a very basic skill that can help as a confidence boost for both you and your dog.
Grab your dog and toy and do whatever you need to do to get your dog engaging with you and ready to learn before holding onto your dog while you throw the toy forward, through the uprights and a couple of meters beyond. Release your dog either with whatever you say for your dog to get it or with your start line release word. At this stage it doesn't really matter. Make sure you practice on both sides of your dog. You don't need to be moving at all at this stage. Just restrain your dog, throw the toy, release the dog, have a party when they charge through the uprights to grab the reward.
Step 2 is essentially the same as step 1, except you get to do something while the dog's rushing for the toy. Keep all other elements exactly the same, except start to add in a stationary position for your dog where you don't have to physically hold on to them. If your dog can't sit, drop or stand and wait for its release word, go train that before attempting anything else. It'll take you like 5 seconds. Go on.
Pop your dog in a sit, drop or stand. They need to hold this position until released, even when you throw the toy. Make sure they are staring forward, eyeballing the toy before you release them. As soon as they are a body length in front of you, step diagonally forward, crossing behind the path of the dog to end up on the opposite side that you started on. Click as you cross the line of the dog.
At this stage, the dog probably has no idea you even exist in the equation. The only thing on its mind is that toy. It mightn't even be hearing the click. But what you're starting to develop is the forward drive, which is essential for a rear cross. The dog needs to be able to be pushed past the handler so that you can smoothly cross behind. You're also practicing getting your own feet in order for your part of the handling, as well as beginning to condition the dog to accept movement behind them. Now this perhaps contradicts everything you've ever heard about progressing in dog training, but the next step is to get the toy back on you. This could be the longest part of this training if you have a dog like Zeke, who is insanely reward and handler focused and has very little natural forward drive. However, if you spend enough time on the first 2 steps, plus only continue at your dog's pace, and aren't afraid to take the occasional few steps back, this should go hassle-free. Timing really is everything in this step, as is coordination.
Like transitioning from step 1 to 2, step 2 to 3 requires all the same elements with just one changing, in this case the position of the toy. You are still crossing behind the dog after releasing them from a solid stationary position, except this time you will be throwing the toy forward as you release the dog. Or for some dogs you will throw the toy a split second before releasing them. Find a starting point for your dog that they do well at, but it must include the toy not being on the ground in front of the dog before the release. Keep upping your expectations as the dog continues to succeed until you're able to push the dog forward as you cross behind and not throw the toy until the dog has hit the plane of the jump uprights. Continue clicking as you cross the line of the dog behind as you started to do in step 2. What you don't want is the dog stopping or spinning or coming back to you. If the dog is, you're throwing too late for the stage the dog is currently at, and you need to take a couple of steps back to get them comfortable before upping the criteria again. This is basically how you train forward drive or go, except you're adding in movement behind the dog.
Don't continue until you have a dog that can cross and continue past the plane of the jump uprights before you throw the toy. If you skimp on giving this step the time and attention it needs, you'll regret it later on. Make sure you're continuing to work both sides as well. This is where a bit of shaping and experimenting comes in and where it all starts to come together, provided you've not rushed your dog through any of the other 3 steps. Your dog is currently running forwards in a straight line, expecting the toy to drop from the sky and land somewhere in front of them at this stage. Warm up your dog first off by doing a couple of throws like you eventually got up to doing in step 3, then be a bit sneaky.
Toy in hand furthest from the dog and clicker in the hand closest to the dog. Start the exercise as you would for step 3, as though you were going to throw the reward. Release the dog forward, cross behind, and run forward towards the upright in your direct line. As the reward doesn't appear in front of the dog, they'll probably swivel in your direction. If you were training a go command, you wouldn't want this, but you're not. You're training a rear cross, and this is very, very good. Click the head movement in your direction, continue just past the upright, presenting the toy to the dog for a game of tug.
At this stage, nothing else matters apart from that head turn towards you. Speed, accuracy, prettiness of the rear cross, none of it's important right now. If the dog turns the opposite way, spins, does anything other than swivel towards you right away, still click and reward the eventual correct move. Jackpot every immediate correct swivel towards you. Baby steps. This is a complicated task and you want to reward heavily for any movement in the right direction. You've changed the picture quite dramatically, so big rewards. Don't be stingy. You're doing a bit of shaping here, so it's allowed to be messy and all over the place. Refining comes a bit later. If you're accurate with your clicking, and bonus points for having a clicker and shaping savvy dog, you should very quickly start to see the consistent correct head turn as you cross behind the dog. As the dog continues to develop this understanding and continues to offer the correct behaviour and is confident with the current requirements, reward only the immediate correct turns and ignore any spinning or turns away before the correct head movement is picked.
Once you are getting 100% success on the correct head turn, continue to refine the criteria in whatever way you want the end result to be, remembering to pick just one thing at a time to concentrate on and reward the ever-increasing steps towards it. For instance, you might want to reward tight turns out of the pole, or speed, or earlier commitment to the turn. Just make sure you don't add too many new things at the same time. As you add a new criteria, you need to uphold the old one, therefore it needs to be solid enough to stick so that you can continue shaping just the new element and not need to maintain the previously taught ones with feedback and reward for it. Now it's just a matter of transitioning this onto the opposite side you've been working the last few steps on. You may need to go back a few steps or to the very beginning depending on your individual dog, or you can skip to the 4th step since you should have been doing the steps up to there working both sides of your dog anyway. If you've not been rushing through it all, your dog should have a very firm grasp of the exercise and merely need to generalise on the other side now. Progress should be a lot quicker than the first side.
Once you have a pretty little rear cross in both directions on the one jump upright, you can start working towards using it in a short 2 jump upright sequence. This is Zeke's first time doing this step at nearly 8.5 months old. Bear with him.
Begin by warming your dog up on some of the 1 upright reps before transitioning to running slightly past the upright before rewarding. If you want, you can start to get the toy off you again by throwing it forward as you pass the plane of the upright. Increase this distance until you've got a complete rear cross happening and can run the distance to where the second jump will be set up. Set the jump up closer than it would usually be to the first jump and treat it as just an extension of the running past the upright exercise. Rear cross the dog over the first jump and run them through the second set of uprights. Reward the dog with a toy in the hand closest to them after the second set, or throw it forward after they have cleared the line. You can then work on increasing the distance between the first and second jumps until it's where it would normally be on a standard set-out course, continuing to reward past the plane of the second jump. I won't demonstrate this with Zeke since he's literally just started his sequence work today and I'm not going to rush him through it, but Charlie's kind enough to fill in. Next step, add your bars back in.
From here you can start training with a rear cross in longer sequences, ensuring you maintain the criteria you want as your end result and rewarding for ever increasing higher expectations. Thank you for sticking with this lengthy tutorial, and I hope it was somewhat informative and worthwhile. If it makes sense to the person who I said I'd make it for, even better. If anyone has any questions or tips about the rear cross training or this tutorial as a whole, or anything else at all, comment below on my channel or shoot me a personal message. I don't bite, and I'm happy to answer any and all queries to the very best of my ability. If anyone else has a request for a tutorial that they'd like me to do, again, just let me know and I'll see what I can do. By no means am I an expert on anything, but if I'm able to teach something to my own dogs, chances are I'll be more than happy to make a video and share it. And if I can't train it to my own dogs, I'll be eager to find a way too. Anyway. Excellent idea. And it'll be like, oh my god, that's awful. No. Don't touch anything. Seriously, stop touching stuff. Stop touching stuff. Excellent. Experimenting and changing. The more accurate you are with it. That's not for you. You're so annoying. Don't interfere, please. Thank you for your help so much. Will you stop interfering? Go play with the ball. Oh my god, that's got a squeaker in it. You can't, oh my god, the battery! What you're starting to develop. What you're starting to develop. Keep all other I can't say it. Keep all other elements. Keep all of the other. All elements. I got the other bit. So start to introduce a stage. Add in. Let's do that. Add in. Here again. Don't be annoying him. Jackpot. Where are you getting these from? And about progressing. Oh my god! La, la, la. Okay, let's just start this whole thing again, because that's just gonna be